Hello, my lovelies. Welcome to this episode of Coach Caris, Itchy, Bitchy and Guests. Today I am chatting about scale weight, just going right in there, no faffing about, because over the last couple of days, week or so maybe, even I would say the month of December, I have had a lot of messages on the socials and I have spoken to a lot of women about scale weight and scale weight fluctuations. So today I went and screenshotted my scale weight fluctuations for December, and they are pretty much up and down about 3.5 pounds over the course of December. And if you look really closely at them, they usually jump up massively on a Sunday, Monday, and then they'll drop down slowly over the course of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then they'll go up again at the weekend into the next Monday. And that has been pretty consistent for the last 4 weeks. Why? Because I've been out, I've been eating nice food, I've been meeting friends, I've been seeing family, we've been to restaurants, we've had a couple of takeaways. The last week specifically, I've had some cheese and some chocolate and some cake. So, anyway, I could just sum this up in one sentence by saying, this is actually completely normal. But obviously I'm going to elaborate a little bit. So scale weight fluctuations, right, are normal any time of the year. Absolutely 100% any time of the year. But I feel that they're possibly more noticeable at this time of year because we think that in the month of December, we should be smashing fat loss if we've got a fat loss goal, or our scale weight should stay the same if we're maintaining. Let's face it, right? Most women, whether you're in fat loss, whether you want to maintain your weight, right? Most of us are very aware of our scale weight. Very, very aware all the time. All the time. In fact, if I spoke to most women and asked them about a situation they were in or a social event they were at or an occasion they were at over the last 5 to 10 years, they could absolutely tell me probably what they were wearing, but whether they were comfortable or not, whether they felt confident, whether they felt fat, whether they'd put weight on, whether they'd lost weight. We seem as women sometimes just to measure our lives in scale weights or dress sizes. I'll let you into a wee secret. It's something that I'm fighting against and I still struggle with. I spoke about it massively when I lost 26 pounds in the perimeno. And it's something that I'm working very hard on to not do. I am better than I was because I don't beat myself up now. I understand scale weight fluctuations, and I also understand that there's no direct correlation between your scale weight and how nice a human being you are. However, a lot of women aren't quite there yet, and we're very judgy and very guilty. So I'm just going to speak to you briefly about this and why it's nothing really to stress about. Just need to chill the fuck out, man. Anyway, right? So not just at Christmas, but all year round, you could literally do everything that you should, speechy comma things, and you still would have no control over the scale weight. So if I think back to when I was in a deficit, right? Just say randomly I was on 1700 calories, right? I could eat those 1700 calories. I could hit my macros, so 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat. I could hit my 30 grams a day of fibre goal. I could drink 5 litres of water. I could sleep for 9 hours. I could manage my stress. I could train. And there is still no guarantee what the scales will do when I step on the scales in the morning. There are far too many things. Sorry, I have a really tickly throat. There are far too many things out with our control. In fact, that's rubbish. There are far too many things in our control as well. But my point is that you just can't control the scale weight. So over the course of December, your routines have probably changed, right? You've probably been out more at the weekend. I'm not just speaking about the last couple of weeks. I'm speaking about since the beginning, since party season started, end of November, beginning of December. Our routines have changed. So when our routines changed, we change, my word, we forget to do things. So our water could probably take a dip. Our protein isn't as high as it usually is. We've maybe eaten more carbs than we usually would. Our fruit and veggies maybe went out the window a wee bit. So when routine changes, things change. And even though we think we're doing them, we're probably not 100% doing them. Our sleep can be shorter as well, just because we've had more late nights. And also it depends on whether you drink alcohol or not, and what kind of food you were eating when we were out. That can actually affect the quality of our sleep as well. So you might have less sleep, but the quality might be less as well. We're more social, we eat more varied foods. So if you're a kind of chicken and rice gal, or a chicken soup and a ham sandwich kind of gal like I am, you could, just because you have something different, it can just make the scale weight jump or drop massively. And it's usually down to dehydration, or if you've eaten salty foods, or if you've eaten more carbs, or just you might have actually eaten more food, just like the sheer volume of food. So obviously that's going to affect the scale weight as well. We can be holding more water, like I said, we can be dehydrated. And we can also maybe be stressing a wee bit more. And it's things like that. It's the not tangible things. So the things that you can't actually see can still affect your scale weight, like your sleep and your stress levels as well. All right, but none of this means that you're failing. It doesn't mean that you're failing. It doesn't mean that you're losing control. It doesn't mean that you fucked it. It doesn't mean that you're undoing any progress that you've done, that you've made in the last year. It's just life. It is literally just life. So what we do over time, I'm always banging on about consistency over perfection. What we do over time is more important than what that scale weight says on one day. Now, I have clients that when I started working with them, we didn't step on the scales for a while, because the minute they stepped on the scales and the scale weight wasn't what they thought it should be, then that set the tone for the day. That wasn't a good tone, as a hint. All right, so it is something that I work on very hard with my coaching. I try very hard to get my lovely midlife clients to understand that scale weight is only data. It's like MyFitnessPal, and we need an average over time as opposed to one scale weight. All right, so like I said, my scale weight has fluctuated by 3.5 pounds over the course of December. And again, that's just because I've been socialising, etc. So at the beginning of December, I was about 157 pounds, 157.5. It's went down as low as 156, and it's went as high as 160. So 3.5 pounds on and off. Most of the scale weight, the raises in the scales were on a Monday, and I was usually at my lowest around about a Wednesday, Thursday, because I was just being all boring and eating my normal food that I eat every day, like my baked oats, my chicken soup, my ham sandwich, and chicken something for my dinner. All right, so scale weight is not fat gain. If you step on the scales in the morning, right, and the scale has jumped up by like 1 pound or 1.5 pound, you have no idea how much actual food you would need to be able to gain a pound of body fat. It is a lot. So eating a few higher calorie, less nutritious meals does not mean that you have instantly gained fat. So water retention, said it already, you can be dehydrated, and you would think when you're dehydrated that you would have no water in you, so your body would actually weigh lighter. It doesn't work like that. Right, glycogen from carbs. So for every carb that we eat, and again, I don't want you to go out and stop eating carbs, right? A carb is any fruit and veg, pretty much, and your pasta, your rice, and your bread, kind of. So every single gram of carbs that you eat, your body will store water. So the scales will jump up because your body is heavier. And don't cut out carbs, because our body needs carbs. It is the preferred source of energy. And our brain needs carbs as well. So if you're a midlife woman and you can't actually think straight and your brain fog is horrific, go and check your diet out and just make sure you're not cutting out carbs, because that's not helpful. Salt intake again, right? If we eat takeaways or food that's been cooked like in a commercial kitchen or whatever, chances are it's going to be saltier. Of course it is. And again, that can affect the scales. Hormonal changes, nothing to do with Christmas and New Year. We've got hormonal changes all the time throughout the year. But especially if you're in the perimenopause or the menopause, your hormonal changes can affect your scale weight as well. Inflammation from training, maybe you've upped your maybe you're on holiday and you've upped your training. Well, your scale weight could go up. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Poor sleep, less sleep, poor quality sleep, lack of sleep, all of those things, all right? Just again, like I said, because our routines are slightly different at this time of year and throughout December and party season. And it also depends on how much alcohol we've had to drink. So alcohol does disrupt your sleep, whether you think it does or whether you think it doesn't. It actually does. Scientific evidence, alcohol affects your sleep. And also the type of food that you're eating. If you're filling your body a lot of the time over the festive period with takeaways and meals out and salty cheese and crackers and patty and stuff that you wouldn't normally eat, it can also cause dehydration. And if you eat late at night, right, so eating late at night doesn't make you fat, right? If you eat a slice of bread at 8 o'clock at night and you eat a slice of bread at 7 o'clock in the morning, it has the same amount of calories, right? It doesn't suddenly triple in calories because you've ate it when it's dark at night. Some people do think this, all right? But if you do eat late at night, or if you eat a heavy fat-like meal, your body will struggle to process it. Therefore, it will disrupt your sleep. Disrupted sleep can cause the scales to jump up, right? Stress and cortisol, again, if you're not managing your stress, a lot of people find this time of year more stressful than normal. So again, if you've not got things in place to manage your stress, like your daily walks, your journaling, your exercise, your activity, then yes, that also may cause the scales. And like I said before, food volume. So if the food in your body hasn't been digested, well, the sheer weight of that food is still in your body, so it's going to make the scales heavier. Of course it is. Right, so midlife hormones also, if your hormones are running riot and they're up and down like a fiddler's elbow, the scales can be more reactive, so it can look like you're gaining body fat. You are not gaining body fat. It's purely scale weight fluctuations. All right. December can be tough. All right. It can be very, very busy. And a cheesy quote for you, right? It's not what happens between Christmas and New Year. It's what happens between January and December. So if you've looked after your body for the whole of last year, the whole of 2025, right, I hope to God that you know by this point in time that you can enjoy Christmas and New Year without any stress and without any guilt. And if you haven't looked after yourself in 2025, please make a goal to do it in 2026. You deserve to feel awesome. You deserve to enjoy social occasions without stress, and you deserve to understand that the scale weight is not a true reflection of fat gain. Absolutely, unless it's body composition super duper scales that you're on. So if you are not thinking about the long term, you all know about the goal setting malarkey that we're all going on about at this time of year, right? Instead of New Year's resolutions, because they absolutely suck, and chances are, again, scientific evidence that you're going to fail them. So let's have a think about your goals. If you're just going to set short-term goals, like I'm going to lose a stone in a month, then you're going to have a lot of long-term guilt, because you're going to try and do that for every social occasion that you've got, right? And it's just shit. It's yo-yo dieting, and it's a vicious circle that's very hard to get out of. So being consistent over the course of the full year will cut back on the guilt. All right, short-term guilt in yourself, like Monday to Friday, I'm just going to live on a banana, a cup of soup, and a bit salad. right? And then you know that you're going to go out and fuck it up over the weekend because you're so starving, because you've been starving yourself all week. And then you're just going to start again on Monday feeling really shitty about yourself, feeling like a failure and feeling guilty. So we need some long-term plans as well. So looking after yourself consistently over the course of the year absolutely helps beat the guilt. Consistency against perfection. Do you know, keep your training up, right? I said to all my clients at the beginning of December, I had a chat with them all about setting their non-negotiables over the Christmas and New Year fortnight, right? And a lot of their non-negotiables was still getting their daily steps in. They were maybe going to not manage to the gym 5 days a week. That's absolutely cool. So they'd cut it back to 3, but making a plan before you do it is very, very helpful as well. And it stops the guilt. It doesn't have to be like, I'm not expecting everybody to do more just because they're off work, do you know, because you're quite entitled to sit on your arse and chill and eat some nice, tasty food. This is just about not guilting yourself. Yeah. And then also, like, a lot of people will say as well, do you know, oh, I've got a night out on Saturday, so that's my diet fucked. No, it isn't. That's one meal out of 21 meals if you eat 3 times a day, right? One meal out of 21 meals. How have you fucked it with one meal when you've got another 20 to make them protein packed, fill them with fruit and veg, get your fibre in, drink your water? Excuse me, I had to have a drink there. All right, and just getting back to it after social events. So again, when my clients check in, we've got a little question for them saying, do you have any social events that are going to stop you hitting your goals this week? That's not an automatic yes, just because you've got a night out. Of course it's not. Like I said, it's one meal out of 21. It's more about thinking, like, what are you going to do for those other 20 meals? There's so much you can do. Do you know? Dinner out's not going to stop you. Definitely not. Anyway, right. So this is a good time to practice all your other health markers and to look at and monitor all your other health markers that you've got going on other than your scale weight. To think about how your energy is, how your strength feels like, how your training is, because I'll tell you something, right? If you're eating extra carbs, your training should be through the bloody roof. Fueled by carbs is an actual thing. Think about how your mood is. Do you feel okay? Are you happy? Are you just actually content sitting around with people that you love and spending time with them? Because that's pretty awesome and you can't actually beat that. How's your sleep? If your sleep's okay, are you using this holiday as an excuse to get some extra sleep in? Because if you are, that would be amazing. How are your clothes fitting? So I've said to you already, my scale weight has fluctuated 3.5 pounds over the course of December, up and down like a bloody yo-yo. My clothes have not felt tight at all. Right? I have not put on 3.5 pounds of scale weight, of body weight, sorry. Just a bit dehydrated, that was all. Think about your confidence around food as well. So again, a lot of times when people think, oh, I've fucked it, is they'll go out for dinner and then they'll just turn that dinner into another 4 days of generally not giving a toss about what they're putting in their body. But if you've got the confidence to understand that the scales may have jumped up one day, but give it a couple of days of getting back to your healthy habits, picking your protein first, filling your plate with fruit and veggies, drinking your water, sorting your sleep out, doing your training, going for your daily walks, that the scales will drop again in a couple of days, and that's okay. That's a confidence thing. That's confidence and self-trust, and that can only come from practice. And again, think about how quickly you do actually get back on track after a night out. If it's the next day, amazing. You're in that 1%, my lovelies. Finally, if your weight has bounced around this month, welcome to being a human being. We are not robots. We are social butterflies. We are hormonal and we're alive, all right? Nothing has gone wrong. There is no danger anybody can tell me that the calories in the food that you eat is way more important than spending time with your loved ones. Never will that be more important. A few festive days of festivities, salty food, tasty cheese, right? A late night or a number that's higher than you expected on the scales in the morning. It doesn't mean that you've ruined any progress at all. It just means that you've had a nice time. Yeah. So remember, it's what we do consistently over time. All right. I had a Zoom call with one of my clients today as well, and we had a little chat about putting her into a slightly bigger deficit come January and stuff, right? And that's totally cool. And we had a little chat about how far she's come and how much scale weight she's lost in the last couple of months, right? Now, she said to me in speechy bubbly things, right? I've had a lot of social events on, so I know I should be happy with where my scale weight is, right? But it's still quite difficult sometimes. And she has had a lot of social events on. She has had something on every weekend since about mid-November, right? Her scale weight is still down. However, if she wasn't working with me and we weren't aware of this and we weren't practicing mindful eating and choosing healthily when we can and still enjoying ourselves, our scale weight would have been up by about 3 or 4 kilos since the beginning of November. So sometimes it's not just about getting lighter or getting the scale weight to drop or losing body fat. It's always okay to maintain your scale weight in times of busyness. Absolutely. So if your scales are going haywire in December, I just want you to take a deep breath, chill the fuck out, drink some water, and maybe go for a big jobby. Bye bye.